Okay. Balsam Abo Zour. Hopefully, I got that close enough. Thank you for being here. We met last December at a local art event in Florida, and I've looked at your website. It's a fine website of visual art. And to me, it is something you would see in a gallery or a museum, that type of art. And it reminds me of art school assignments where you have to go to a museum and pick a picture or a work and then do a paper on it. So you have to look through the layers of it. And I like yours because there are layers there to me. How would you explain your artistic style?
Mhm. Well, this question was like asked for me many times, and I was having troubles answering it because never find myself talking about what I'm doing exactly in the piece. But over time, people begin to tell me, "Oh, you are surrealistic. Oh, you have like this expressionist approach. You have this." Uh, Intensity in like a flashy way of depicting the person. Um, but then I begin to take these definitions and adding it to what if somebody asks me, I will say that. Uh, but personally, if I want to like talk about it, like I don't know, I don't know. It's the it's an open door for me. I always have this experiments with things, but yes, there is a uh, dreamy way of like approach, So um, even if I tried not to, I always find myself falling into this kind of dreamy setup in my work, most of it.
I think I connect with that part of it. In my writing, it's that's how I would describe it, is more dreamy and strange. And I was thinking about how I would describe your stuff to somebody. And besides having that initial, like you look at something and you go, yes, that speaks to me, which I feel when I look at your work, then you have to say, well, why does it speak to me? And how would I describe that to somebody? So I would think of it as primal. It certainly has some of it has like a sexual type tone, but I feel like that's more not, it's more of like a French expressionism type feel. But then there's also the macabre, which I'm not talking about, you know, the demon eating a human body type macabre, but it's a darker type, but it's also playful and it's dreamy and it has these strong emotional type awakens emotion when I look at it. And I think that's great in anything because it would stink to do something and then somebody looks at it and feels nothing. So it's good to feel something.
Mm.
And
Thank you.
the way I prepare for conversations is usually I think about what I would talk to a person about when I see their art or their creativity. And sometimes I have the conversations in my head to the point of maybe over preparing because I've already thought about it and thought of the person's response. So I'm trying to work on not preparing too much, but I visualize it as a cup of coffee where you want to put cream and sugar and other things in there. So you have to leave room for it, but you have to start somewhere.
Mm.
So I have practical questions and then I have deeper questions
Okay.
because I thought about it a lot and not just because preparing for conversations, but in my own pursuit of understanding or trying to understand creativity.
Mhm.
So there are so many different types of art, and you have different types that you do digital and multimedia painting. Why do you think art presents itself in different ways?
Well, I don't think it's the material. I don't think the material has. It will not change a lot of the story. It's just to change the shape of it. It's like your perspective towards it. It will be like as if the way you approach it, it will affect you because the material is changing. But the thing inside the art is, I think it's still the same. Let's say I did a painting and it's the subject of it is about harassment, and it's a painting, it's 2D dimension, and you stand there and you watch it. And then I did a sculpture and it's about harassment. So it's still, you see that thing, but you are moving around, and you are in the space, you are in that space of the sculpture. So your way of dealing with that is like it shifts your emotions maybe, or your understanding of the space and your interaction with it, because you are around that thing. So for the video is also this kind of another layer. You are really third layer farther from the art, because you can watch it anywhere, in your bathroom, in your dinner room, and you're watching this video. So you are like really not in contact materialistically with the art itself. There's layers. You are so also this privacy of watching a video and having that one-on-one connection is also and also frame of time. Like you can watch this video anytime you're accessible to it, different from art like painting or sculpture. So that's the thing, I think. And there's also, I just remembered something, comparing to me while I'm producing something with a different material, if that's your question. The material itself will tell me how the limits that this material can give me. Every material has its own limits. So while I'm like working with it, sometimes it's shut down. Say, oh, you can't do that. That's the limits you have. Like that's the materialistic. So every time you move from material to other, you have this experience. So you may not know that this limits is there until you pull yourself, put yourself there. So shifting from one material to another is it's part of the experimenting. If your brain is like really charged with imagination and aims, you want to express it this way, you go towards it, and then you experience the material and you find what you can do, what you can do. I hope I respond to your question.
Yeah, you did. I like that idea of the material speaking to you. Where do you think that art comes from? Do you think it's art or creativity, or maybe it's better to define what art is, if that's possible? But do you think that creativity is something that comes from within us, that we've manifested through our own experiences? Or do you think it's something that's from outside of us that we kind of tap into? Or is it a mixture? Or can it be both and different times?
Well, yeah, it's a mixture. You can't take one side out of the other. Like they are like twinkling together. It's like yeah, they you can't separate them. Like even if I personally, I try to isolate myself from all the world once in a time in my career, and I stayed like 2 years in a farm and isolate myself outside from the world. No TV, nothing. I find myself like painting landscape, but my own landscape. It was imaginal, animalistic. My teacher at that time called it phantasmagoria. So I thought I'm isolated from everything. No, I think the art is from where it comes. I think art is a humanistic thing. It's like if you see something outside, it's the act of nature. Nature is producing whatever that is producing, but without our eyes, we can't see that as a beauty or as any a definition of it. So I think it's related to us to create that art, because it's us who are doing the art. And then we say to the nature, oh, the nature is doing art, because we see that as an art. Not like, let's say, for the birds who do, let's say, kind of dance or clean up the nest, or for them, it's not art. For them, they want to reproduce. They want to seduce that kind of other bird. And for us, we say, oh, that's art. You know, the structure, the building, that's our way of defining it. So I think it begins from here, from you, from me. And we intertwine with whatever surrounding us. That's the...
It goes back to that perspective thing. It's the bird is doing bird things, and we look at the art of the bird thing.
Yeah. So
how do when you say that the different mediums of art speak to you and tell you the limits, how do they, is it a difference between how a sculpture or the sculpting material lets you know what it wants to do and what it can do versus painting versus multimedia or any other thing? Like when I think of visual and music, to me it's different, but you can also visualize music. And then poetry and prose and essays and dialogue, I mean, they're words, but to me it's different as well. Like if I'm writing poetry, it feels like that comes from a different place than if I'm writing a science fiction conversation. But
so
how do the different mediums speak to you?
let me put it this way. So when you are painting, you use your muscle, you use your as a body, you use your muscle, your hand and your eyes, and for sure your imagination, your mind, all of this. But as a body, you use your muscle, and one of your senses is the sight. So this is so much the sight thing. While you're doing a sculpture, your whole body is involving in that. Your fingers are there, sometimes smell involved, and there is the different sensations involving into that matter makes you have a different outcome from that thing. Like there is something about changing this kind of material. There's something about you present things in a different way because your senses are now shifted to something else, shifted to another, or let's say the eye and now the hand, the touching, and added to the imagination or the ideas and the structure in your mind and what you want to present. So that's a big aspect in changing material. Also the screen thing, like all the data of like pictures, and you are dealing with pixelized and the screen to do a video or camera. So you are dealing with different also atmospheres with the camera around atmosphere, that is effect of the material on you. So that will shift your art from slightly. But the limitation of this piece is like, imagine you are working with paper and there is the limitation. You want the paper to be really continue as a paper, or you want like this paper to change to a piece of like grumpy things, and when you look at it, it's not paper anymore. So the paper will tell you, this is my limit. If you want me to be just a clean paper and you put things on it, so don't mess up with the surface. I'm very sensitive. So that's the limitation of the paper. She's telling you that's my limitations in keeping me clean. That's it. If a drop of ink accidentally happened, you ruined it. That's the limitation. You are doing that to this paper. If you want to change that dynamic interaction with paper by saying, I don't care about you, paper. I want like to smash you, to step on you, to whatever, and then I will build you again, whatever. That's also the limitations you put on that paper. You can't return it back to what it was. For example, clay. You use the sculpture, let's say you fire it first, and you realize after you fire it that you want to add other parts to it. Sometimes in the other firing thing, that doesn't work. There is other elements that doesn't make you continue with your sculpture idea because the limitation of the material. It gets fired first, it gets fired twice, and what it is what it is. You can't change. You have to build another sculpture to fix what you have done from the first. So that's the limitations of the material. And the only thing you have to stick to is to keep working, like not like, oh, that's it. Like keep. It's a journey of experimenting, only experimenting. You never reach anywhere like, oh, that's it.
How do you know when you're done with a piece? Is it you just get to the point where you could always change it? So do you just say, this is just, I'm done working on it? It doesn't mean it's done. You're just done with it.
Well, there's two ways. You suffocate it and you ruined it when there is no connection with it anymore. It's like you really ruined it, or you decide to stop. But there is no like, deep inside you can do more and more and more. It's just a decision you take. You say, I want to stop now. Doesn't mean the painting can't be continued. There's always possibility. If I bring another artist and I said to him, listen, I decided to stop for this painting. I am allowing you now to do something with it. Oh my gosh, this will never end. It's a forever project, So I think you have the power to say, okay, I will stop it now because I don't want to ruin it. You get the feeling, you get the achievement at that moment. The sensibility of the work is right into the point where it reflects you, what like satisfies you in a way. You don't want to overdone it. You don't want to ruin it. That's it's like you have a lot of emotions and you have to like control it a little bit and say, okay, I will stop now. I think if I have a lot of energy, I can put another painting and begin doing another painting. That's kind of decision.
Do you find with experience that if you've ever had a time where you were painting something and you did a brush stroke that you're like, that was the wrong brush stroke, and I've changed the look of this and the feel of it from what I wanted to, and just experience would tell you can't take that brush stroke back, so you have to either deal with it or start again. How does that occur, or do you always look? Okay.
This is I don't do a systematic work. Like I don't think most of the time of what I'm doing. Like I say, I have this plan, I sketch and say, I want exactly this piece to be in there. And if I have a mistake, that's done. I don't have that. I allow mistakes to happen, and actually more mistakes, more beautiful things, I have to trust my body. I have to trust my instinct. All these years while I'm like practicing this, I have to reach a point where I have to trust that. So when these mistakes happens, I have to allow that to happen. If it's really like, I really like something that it's not the thing I want, I can manipulate the situation. I can cover it, play with it, but it's not something that stops me. I'm ready to destroy it and begin new.
I'm not a painter, but I put that in the realm of, for writing, it would be you either have an outline and you're sticking to that, or you are just writing and you don't have an outline and you're just, I guess the industry calls that, you're a pantser, where you're just writing by the seat of your pants. And it's, I've done both, but I don't paint, so I don't know if it transfers, that idea transfers over to it. It sounds like it would, but so you don't, when you have an idea of what you want to do, do you think about it and then go, okay, I'm going to do something with these different colors or on this topic? Or do you just start? I guess you could do, sometimes you just start and then sometimes you have an idea of what you want to do and then you just see where it goes. But how how much do you plan out or think about before you start doing the work?
Well, as fast as I can do it, like if I do it very fast, it will come almost the same what I imagined. But if I slow down doing it, it will be totally changed because I am changing at any moment. My mood is ups and down. Yeah. But back to your question, the first part is, I know that there is two ways. I tried them, like preparing for an idea, because all my, like, I faced a situation where people saying, hey Balsam, you have to do something about exhibition about, I don't know, like animals, or like a farm, as I did 2021. So that has, like, there is a subject and I have like kind of like sketch a little bit. But when I begin to apply the work, the sketches is something and work something else. Because the sketches is like, it's not warming up, it's something that makes you feel and get into the subject. Like get into the subject, get into that place. Where is that place? Connect with this place if you're doing that work. And when you begin doing the big work, it's so rare for me to follow. I don't have any sketch that has this. I will give you an example. One of my friends once came in, and I was like having my big piece on the wall. So he came in and he drew the piece on the wall that I'm already done, not done, but I'm working on it. He drew it and he writes something on his drawing, and he left it on the table. The next day when I came in, I thought he left me a sketch for a painting. I didn't know, in my mind, I didn't see the similarities of what he sketched of my exact painting and the written words. I thought he's giving me a sketch of, that's what I want. I want this place to be a landscape. He's writing it. And that place is good. I want to see perfect things here. In the end, I realized he is criticizing the work by sketching it and writing what he thought about these parts of the painting in my wall. So my understanding of sketch is, or preparation for a painting, is totally different from what I will do in it. When I involve in color, it's I can't relate to paper or the sketch before. It's something else. It's like when you are like drawing or writing something, and then when you begin like really in the zone, in the place where you are writing this, you forget about the notes you write 2 weeks ago. It's just you are zoomed in that process of writing a novel. Until you remember 2 days later, oh, I have a note somewhere, I write it. So then you add it, whatever. So that's if I can make similarities here. It's there's no not like this in my work. I don't have it. I deal with my work as it is in the moment.
Do you, after you finished doing a painting or any sculpture or anything else, or either before you start it, do you have times where you're thinking about it and you can't stop thinking about it? Like, do you get so into a thing that it's either like, as a writer, I would say you have this story in your mind and you're just thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it until eventually you have to write it because you can't stop thinking about it. And once you write it, it's out. You might still think about it, but not in the same way.
Yeah, it
Does that
depends.
happen with?
Yeah, sure. It depends on the circumstances. Let's say when I was in Lebanon, living in Lebanon, the urge of creation was super high because we are living in a very complex, how can I explain it, rich environment, and there's a lot of conflicts every day. You have these struggles, and when an idea hits me, I can't like postpone it. It's really urging me to do something about it, especially when things are politically charged. Something that is happening in the street, I'm part of it. I'm part of whatever happened in the street. It's my country, and I am. Everything happens outside. It's hurting me. If that hurts them, and that kind of ideas, if it comes in that frame, it doesn't go away. I do it in a very fast way. Doesn't Not because it's an urge need to put it out as soon as possible. It doesn't take, like, it doesn't create it by sitting and planning. There's no planning there. It's related to the thing, except to the thing that is happening on the ground. That's in Lebanon. When I moved here in the United States, the life is having more, like, there's more relaxation time frame that is like really, you have the time in the world. You don't have the conflicts around you. You have your work. You have to worry about your daily basis, but there is no like demonstration in the streets, and the electricity is turned off at any moment. You cut out of water at any moment. There is bombing out in the neighborhood. Your life isn't threatened. Your family is stuck somewhere. You don't have that. So because of this, your time in creating art is really affecting the process of working in art. It's so slow, and you have like all the time to decide. Or I miss that in Lebanon. I miss that. I believe that I was more alive in dealing with the things that are really harsh and primal to who I am than relaxing. Relaxing all the time. I don't know if I can put it this way, but yeah. So that kind of idea that hits my brain at that moment, it has to be out. I can't sit with it. I have to put it out as soon as possible, and then I will put it out. But it will change during the process, while I'm producing. But it has to be out into the art.
Do you think it's more of how you are dealing with your environment around you, or do you think there's some sense, or maybe spirit's not the right word, but maybe it is, of being in a different time and place, and that's how art presents itself differently, or you feel it differently, like if you're in a dangerous place versus a safer place, or just
Well,
does that affect the art because of it affects you, or is it the attitude of the place that's affecting the art, or is there a difference?
I don't know if I understand your question.
Can you
Well,
look back at your art when you're in Lebanon and see different styles than you have from being on the farm?
well, I don't see different style. It's not the style. It's the intention, the intensity, and the structure of the work itself. How I put things in, not the style. The style. I think I still have the same colors. I have bright colors most of the time. But yeah, it's I spaced out. I don't know now.
I was just trying to figure out if you thought that being in a different time and place affects art because it's just affecting you and your perspectives, or is it something about being in different places that have different energy? I guess that's the better word.
Well, both. It works on both ways. Like sometimes, listen, I want to tell you something. There is a limit for me to work on art or not work on art. Let's say there is bombing around me in Lebanon, and I can't grab a painting in the moment in the same day and paint. I'm having a breakdown. I am having like a lot of like when the life threatened, and when not only life, like your life, your the world that you built for yourself is shaky now because of what have happened around you. Now you have like to secure whatever it happens, like whatever you have around. That takes time. At that time, you don't produce art. You are in a survival mode. So art doesn't exist there. It it begins to exist when the things get to the norms, like the bombing is still continue and you are get used to the bombs, so now you can that's kind of thing. So it's definitely affecting me. That it takes me out from my like take me like as if cut me out from my warmthy womb, let's say, or the place that I thought is safe for me to create here, and put me in a different atmosphere. And now I have to be like really um, alert, anger. I don't have I don't have 3, 4 waves. There's black and white there. Do it, and yeah, that's the when you are placed in this kind of situations, that question of is it affecting you, let's say, it blends. It's like it's affecting you, and you are one of you are part of everything. Your value of who you are begin to be like, I don't know if I have a value related to what's happening around. I can be killed at any moment, or I can be kicked in the street, or be violated like, bodily, let's say somebody. uh, that kind of, you have to be humble at that moment, like you know um, you are part of what is around you. You can't separate yourself. You can't live in the cloud and survive that situation.
Right. You have to deal with the reality in front of you
Yeah,
versus what you're doing later on.
exactly. And
There's
there's sorry,
Go ahead.
there is also the community there, which I can say community, but Lebanese people, even though with all these bad things happening, they're kind of, they come together in crisis. They come together, so you don't feel you are alone at that moment. So when you are doing art, you're not alone doing art. You have your friends somewhere around. You are connected with all these people, and they are doing something. Like in theater room, you can see people during this crisis are keep doing it, keep doing shows, uh, dancing, the same thing. This empowers you as an artist, even for artists who are like behind the walls, like painters, let's say, they don't have this extrovert way of dealing. They, by knowing that they are doing something out there, it empowers you as a painter. So there is this aspect as well. So you belong to the things around you. It's not the pain will begins, real pain, when you are really think that you are by yourself. That's it. Like what you are experiencing is only you, and that's you who will get hurt, nobody else. Something like that. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it's good. It's good. When you're talking, I thought about two different things. One, when you're talking about there's a high stress situation going on and you don't just pick up your paintbrush and start painting right then, that it reminded me of a show that I've seen years ago now. It was called Amazing Stories. And it was kind of like a Twilight Zone type thing, Outer Limits thing. But this show, because there are different shows or different topics on each one, it's not a series of the same characters and the same things each time. But in this one, it was World War II, and it was on a plane, and something happened where the person in the belly gun on the bottom of the plane that has the gun got trapped inside of there. And they're like, okay, no big deal. We'll just get back to where we are, and then we'll have to cut you out. And for some reason, they get close to landing, and then the wheels, only one wheel comes down. So if they land, they're going to smash the belly gun.
Mm.
So in this situation of stress, and this guy was an artist, he did drawings. So he's in the belly gun there, and he's like, all right, you've got to land because you got all these other people in there, and they're going to die. You don't want to crash because obviously I'm going to get smashed when you land. So that's just the way it is. But he's down there drawing because he's trying to take his mind off that stressful situation. And he's drawing a plane that looks maybe not photorealistic, but realistic enough that you're like, okay, that's definitely the plane he's in. And then he has color pencils. That was black and white or a pencil drawing. And then he has color pencils drawing a wheel that's kind of a cartoonish looking wheel, like a big balloon type wheel. And he's just drawing it while they're landing, And then they land. He doesn't get smashed. There's a regular landing gear and a cartoon like drawing landing gear. They get him out. They cut out the thing, get him away from it, and then the airplane smashes down on the ground. So that doesn't mean I wasn't listening to what you were saying at all. That just means that tick that little mind thing of, if you're in a stressful situation, do you turn to art to calm you down or express that because you've got so much emotion built up that there's nothing else to do? And I can think of some times in life where I've seen things or people that were so stressed out that it would help them to take their mind off of it. So I can imagine you painting in a war zone and getting all this creativity just because of the area around you. And then you said you belong to the things around you. And I was like, well, that makes complete sense. So I wonder if we are like sponges. And when you're in a place that has a lot of emotion going and a lot of consternation, a lot of danger, that's a lot for the sponge to soak up. And you soak that up while you're in it. And then when you have the time to release that, that's the artistic side, the painting side in this case, where you're squeezing that emotion out of the sponge, squeezing it out of yourself. But maybe there are times where there's so much that a sponge gets so saturated that it can't hold anymore. So then you have to have that artistic release somehow. And if that's doing some type of art or sculpture in a moment that other people would go, man, that's not the time or the place to do that. But you just have to do it to be able to continue on, because you had just have that push to, that's just the way your mind works. That's the way your person works. So
it's a way of resistance. You can't separate art from life when it's really critical. It's when you shift to create art, it's like, this is how you are resist the death or the destruction. This is how you resist it, and it's a very essence for who you are. Like, you reach a point of devastation. Like, you as you said, it's like a sponge, but you can catch a pencil and do whatever you want, like do in the moment. But the way you do things in these situations, in Lebanon, they're still doing it. They get used to it. Like, the crisis is always there. So most of artists in Lebanon, if you see what they do, always there is intensity, and there is a lot of expression about what's happening around them. You may explain it or describe it as violence or political, but that's how they put things out. This is how they deal with it, and this is how they survive, and this is how they keep the story on, because these people, they are writing the story in a different ways. Let's say you write the story, but they are painting the story. So what happened, for example, in 2020, August 2020, 4th of August, the huge explosion in Beirut, the whole country were devastated, and Beirut in particular, it was I was far, but I saw what my friends did, all my friends, the artist friends. It took them like 2-3 days to understand, and then they begin, you can see in social media, they begin to do sketches, getting out. It's really, the story is being written and being painted out. You know, these people, they are resisting the death by writing out the story. I know that I will be done with, like, there is also part of the situation where you have, when you are reaching this complexity, you feel humble. I use this word second time. It's like you're really down to the earth. You are really surrendering for the situation, but not in a matter like I will not do anything. No, it's not this. I'm not talking about surrendering for life. It's what I'm talking about is something that makes you really humble to do without egoistic. It's just like out of anger or out of even love or out of like really shouting out loud what is happening. You paint, you express yourself, knowing that other people can't express that, so you are in that voice, you are making their voice out. You want that, your voices matter. So that kind of, but you have to be humble at the same time. Not that I am the one. There is none like that. There's no ego when you create something political like that, because your pain is similar to other people. You have to respect it. Let's say this kind of explosion, you can't be after 1 month showing off, oh, I did this work because 200 people died and it's amazing painting. You can't be. It's like it's very critical.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the idea that creativity and art and whatever the name you give to the energy in a place and time, that I guess the religious side of me would express it through the idea of you're the instrument, not the hand. So you are not the energy. You're just the person that's converting that energy into a picture or something that someone else can look at and go, I recognize that. I know what that means to me. And it can mean, you could probably take pictures like that written in high stress conflict zones from different places and show them to different people, and they would know that energy, that they would get it. Like you could, yeah, I think you could go, I think that transfers over. And that's why when you have art, people say that speaks to me because of this. And then you could have the same art or different art that speaks to people in a different way that the artist didn't intend at all. And I think that's the great part of it, is it's that energy out there that's just swirling around with all kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your goal with your art? In the high stress areas, I know it's to get out that feeling and that energy, but when you're on the farm doing landscapes, are you thinking, I want to create a picture that's calm when I look at it? Or I don't know, what's your What's your goal in art? It's a weird question, maybe.
Well, I don't know. It's not. I don't. It's an urgent need to do something. It's not. I don't overthink about it. It's an urgent need. It makes me push me to do it, or I will go mentally. Like it affects me, and either ways, if I'm like painting in a farm or painting in the city, it's an urgent. So what my art, I don't know. I don't have like my message to, it's not like I have a message to humanity, or I don't have that. I am in the flow of creation. I'm my existence is printed out as my art is out. Like if I died, my art will be there to show, I don't know, me exists somewhere. Not only me. I'm part of big family, and I'm so proud of it. My understanding of me being out, it means them being out. It's reflecting onto the people I love, and because they are they are behind me. It's not only like they are encouraging me; they are the inspirational push. So for sure, I have egoistic. I want me to be something very big. Who doesn't? But I don't, right now, I don't think about this anymore. Like this phase of my life, I'm not thinking about it. Like if things happens and I'm like, get out, my work get out, and there is, I will be hidden in a corner and let them celebrate whatever I did. But I'm not a person who's like, look at me, I did this. I will be definitely happy, but not, I don't have it. I don't know. So I don't put, I don't think about what my art, like the message or what my art will be to other humans, the value of it. I'm in the tune of creating every single moment I have. Even if I'm not creating, outside I'm always observing. Observation is very important for me. It's like water. It's part of who I am. It happens that I learned how to observe. It's not, doesn't come to me like somebody is God gave it to me. People all over the time. Let me put the charger. Sorry, my computer is dying.
Okay.
I forget what I was saying.
Learning to observe.
Yeah, it's not somebody like not like I know it without anybody telling me. There is people who teach me how to observe over years, like being with friends, being with teachers, being with other people around, who they observe things, and they showed me how they see things. Like when you are in the group, you're seeing something, let's say, and you share it with others, and the others, I didn't see that. I see though. I see this and this and this. So they are teaching you to see the things from different perspectives. Now you begin to get this kind of like flexibility in your head to allow yourself to observe, not like to, that's what I see, and that's what I saw, and that's it. So that's helped me a lot in my art. That's a very tool that I use in my work. Observation.
How do you get to those specific moments where something inspires you then? Can you tell if you're out observing and you see something and you're like, I'm gonna do something that reminds me of this, or that's based on this, or something that's tied into it? Or is it a thing where you're out observing and then you get back to where you can paint and then that's just what comes out? Do you have those moments of observation where you're like, this is what I'm going to work on?
I mean, when I observe. There's no connection of what I will do or not. this is by observation, it's an act of observing. So there is no mixing there. That's me. I don't say, look at it and say, I would like to add this. I don't do that. I just observe and learn through my eyes, because when you observe, you see the structure, the dimensions, the colors, the patterns. You don't question it. You just take in. And when you begin doing your work, you don't know when they come up. When they, like, I don't know from where these, I don't have like, oh, I went to the horse zoo and I begin to like do horses over and over again. If I watch one horse once and I really observe it, in my, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or 1 month or 1 year, if I want to paint a horse, it will be easy for me to paint a horse from my memory. I have to trust that I have that memory. I have to trust that, because I practiced a lot. It's like my instrument. I have to trust that this is blue because I see blue in the palette. I have to trust that when I put it there, it's the same color. And then the effect of other colors around it may change, whatever. But I have to trust that this is the blue. I took it from the palette. This kind of trusting the senses, trusting the memory, even trusting how you hold the brush. You don't have to hesitate. The moment you begin to hesitate, it's obvious. You see it, the vibration in the painting. You feel it, and there's a lot of ups and downs in the process of art, of the work itself. There's a lot of doubts happens, a lot of shadow work happens in the process of creating art. You're not the perfect you when you're doing art. You could feel insecure while you're creating a masterpiece, and you find yourself almost ruining what you create yesterday, and then for some reason you waked up from it before destroying it. I say, hey, wake up, look, slow down. You are not in a mindset, So you have this. It's like you are riding a horse, and you're the one who's like controlling, but not all the time you are aware of it. You're in the mood of. So you have to trust that. You have to trust the muscles. You have to trust. The moment you begin to not trusting, you have to stop, because you will ruin it. Simple as that. You begin to put yourself in a. You better to move to another white place with nothing to put the junk things out, and then go back to your work. It's like you feel. Let's say, I will give you an example. I'm painting, and nobody's calling me, and nothing. I'm in the mood, zoomed in into my work, and suddenly I heard somebody shouting out, and I run out, and I spend half an hour there, and now I came back. I can't be in the same mood again. I have to like restruct myself. I get shaped. My emotions are changing. My set of mind changing. So I have a lot of chunk of things. So I have to grab a copybook, pencil, and do something not related to the work I did, because I really zoomed out. Now to go back, I have to sit with the work, and it may take half an hour just sitting and watching. Going back to the painting will talk to you back, bring you in. This is what you were doing with me. That kind of process, it happens when you have time. But when you are in urgent process, let's say you are working in peace and you're doing it fast, there's no distraction there. You're doing it really arithmetically fast. So the process is very intense, and it's really beautiful. I love when I do fast things. There's no interrupting, and I'm zooming. I'm in the process of creating, and there's no even voices in my head. None. I'm just with my body working and trusting what I'm doing. But I don't question things. I can't question a lot of things, because I'm in that zone of creation. I have to let it go and do it. Yeah.
How do you get into that zone of creation? Like on a normal day when you're going to work on something, or you have the time set aside for it, Do you think I'm going to work on this thing that I've already started, or I'm going to start something new, or how do you get up to speed to start doing your art?
I wish things work this way. It doesn't work this way. So you decide in the morning, but the moment you enter the studio, sometimes you can't something off, like you can't belong to what you were doing the day before, even though the day before you were really thinking, oh, tomorrow when I wake up, I wake up 5 a.m. I will do it. You'll be a different person. I mean, that's what happened to me. It's even if I planned, sometimes I have to be really strict to myself. I have to, let's say, came into my studio, I have this plan, but I can't begin with it. I spend most of the time doing something else. It's warming up. And then in the middle of the day, I find myself spending just half an hour in this painting, and that's it. That's the plan. But before I did this plan, I thought I would spend all the day doing this painting, and I will be done with it by the end of the day. Done. There is none. It doesn't happen this way. I hope it will happen this way by deciding that. Yeah.
Are there certain things, like I don't know if you call them rituals or just habits, that you can do to get into the mindset of connecting with art more easily? Like,
Yeah.
is there a time and place that, like, painting at night is different than painting in the daytime, or?
Well, yeah, definitely. For me personally, I would love to go to nature. Sometimes I just want to go out to nature with barefoot and just um, run or pick stones or whatever I lay down in the ground. Like just get out from the zone that I'm in. Clean up, like neutral, something outside my work. I need that. Something silent. There is no pushing. Like, let's say, nature can give you this because it's not pushing anything on you. It just exists. While when you are around people, sometimes they need something from you. So there's more energy you have to do for them. So you're losing energy. It depends on how you deal with that. But I personally, I prefer to go to nature because it's neutral. Just like I'm there, welcome me. She is welcoming me, and sometimes I have my own drinks, like herbs, just to drink my herbs. But the best way for me is sketching. But the sketches are not related to my work. It's just like moving my hand. I always have to do something with my hands. This is very important. Yeah.
Sketching is stretching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you work out or after. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Do
have
you,
done.
after you've finished working on something for however long, and you're like, okay, I'm finished with this for right now, for today or whenever, do you have a way of winding down from doing it, or can you just go from I'm painting to I clean my brushes and I'm back to reality?
Yeah, I cut them sharply. I do. I have to clean up everything as if there's no door to come back. Like it's like shutting everything down, cleaning my brush, my palette, and the studio. That's it. And like today is done. Because if that door is still open, I can come back. I don't want to come if that's what I want. It's like. But most of the time, I cut it. I want to get out. I can't like be in out because also I have to respect my brushes. They have to be cleaned from the material to sustain more life. And it's good for me to refresh and begin the next time I came in. So everything is new. So I cut it sharp. I don't like calm myself out of it. I don't do that.
Okay. I remember my middle school art teacher, Mr. Barley, said after you finish painting, come over here and you clean your brush. You don't clean your brush, that's the end of your art career. So,
Exactly. It's very important. It's very important. It's your brush is not only, the thing is, like, your brush, because the way you use it, it will take the shape of the muscle. I want to ask you a question. When I touch this, it's making a sound or effect?
no.
So back to what we were saying. Um, when the brush used, the way your muscles worked on the brush, on the wall, or on the canvas, it's shaping the brush, eating from the brush in a way that shaped the brush this way. It's not like this. That's why most of the brushes, when they are new, it takes sometimes 2 to 3 months. No, not 2, 3. If you are using it, it takes weeks to take the shape that you want. That's why most of my brushes are old. I love them because they reach a point where they know they are exactly the tools of me. Like I shape them. So when I
So
get a new brush, it's different. I have to practice on it to take that shape. When I clean it, when I take care of my brush, I know that it will take care of me because it will give me what I want. When I can, it's my magical stick, so I have to take care of it.
I feel like there would be a market then for artists' paintbrush, like just another artist's paintbrush. Like it would be, I don't know, would it be interesting or would it be some sort of violation if you go to a yard sale and there's somebody that did a lot of painting and they have these different brushes that are well taken care of? Would that be something you'd consider going, I like the shape of this brush, I think I'm buying that, rather than a new brush? Or
Well, yeah, it will be like it's really beautiful. But also, what happened if you took that brush and you use it, it will change the shape.
right.
You keep changing it to you. It's printed. I don't know how to explain it in English. It's printed, you print on it
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah, but definitely you could have this brush from other artists, and you can see by looking at it. Forget about the colors that is stick there. By looking at the shape of how it's shaped, curved, you sense the time frame of how this artist worked hours to change that.
Wow.
Yeah, and if it's good quality, it's even much better. It's like
So you could have like Picasso's brush in your artist kit, and you're like, no, for this type of painting, I'm going to Picasso's brush.
No, forget it. He will be so happy with his, but not mine. Like I will not be interested. I will interested to have them and put them with me to see, and it's like piece of art itself. But I will not use them because it will change. It will. I have to get used to the weight of it, the length of it, the way how I feel it. It's very important. So it will change to my thing. So it's not Picasso anymore.
I feel like that definitely has to transfer over into like the Harry Potter world of magic wands. Is once you have your wand, it gets to know you and you get to know it, and each of it, you wear each other down.
Yeah.
Or wear into each other.
Exactly.
Where your brush, probably when you pick up your brush is like, yes, I know this hand, versus someone else moving it around. Okay. Have you sold paintings before?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, so the first time it happens, I finished my university, and good story happened. Do you allow me to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
It's really beautiful. So I got graduated from from the University of Fine Art in Lebanon, and we have like around 8 teachers in the university, and they stayed with us for 4 years. So it was an old system where you have to study all the materials, all of them, for 4 years. You carry all the materials. You don't like nowadays, you just finish. You have to keep doing what you learned first year. And these teachers, some of them, they get high ranked. So the first year, maybe the same doctors continue with you till the last year. So I have this experience in the university, and I didn't know at that time that I have something special. Like I was workaholic. I was like working, painting all the time. And when I graduated, 2 of my teachers, they were interested in my work, and I didn't know that. So I went to my home, to the farm, and stayed there for a year and a half there, like almost 2 years living in the farm. But after 1 year and a half from my graduation, they called me, both of them, each one separately, and they, one of them, his name is, oh my gosh, I have to remember. Give me a second. Muhammad al-Rawaz. His name is Muhammad al-Rawaz. He called me and he said, I want to introduce you to gallery. And I was, yeah. And all this 1 year and a half, I was working on the farm. So I have a bunch of works. And he brings Saleh Barakat, his name is Saleh Barakat. He has a gallery in Beirut. He's one of the highest galleries in Beirut. So he came in and he saw my work, and he decided to do a show for me after like few months, it was amazing exhibition, and I sell all my work in the show. Wow. Like it was 16 pieces, huge ones. I lost them in less than 2 weeks. It's just gone. Wow. I didn't even know the collectors who took these people. It's like, back to what you were saying, when that happened, I didn't process it. I didn't process it well. You know, it's not like I lost something. I couldn't process it. It was so fast. But later, when I began looking to the pictures of the work, I was sad because I didn't have time to sit with them. Like, it's really sad. It's like in the end, you are the tool to create this art. You're not like, so you are also the observer. You will look to your work and get something from it. So you don't have this chance again because it's gone. So that's what happened to me. Now, when the art nowadays, when my art sells, I will tell, you have to give me some time. I have to sit with it. It's my baby. I will sit with it. I will learn from it. You know, I nourish that. It reflects back to me because I'm an observer as well. That's the thing.
That's what I would think, that it is emotional.
Yeah.
What's your normal day like of creating? Like, do you set a time aside or days aside in the week where you say, these are my times where I'm working on art? Or
well, my best time is the morning. It's I tuned like that since I was a kid. Wake up 5, maximum 5.5. That's my peak. You know, I have to do things very fast. So what I have to do is like to go do my morning things and get my hot drink, my herbs, and get to the studio daily. The day that I don't do that, you will look at me and you will feel something wrong about it. That's the thing that happens in my life is that sometimes things force you to not do it. To not do it, like life push you. But the idea of accepting that your routine, you're not living your routine. It takes time to allow yourself, okay, it's okay to not do it, but it's painful. I have a lot of endurance all these years to get used to this. Like if something happened, I have the energy to say, okay, it's fine, it's not day. But it took me a long time to get used to that. If something interrupts my morning, I will allow it. So I'm really a dictatorship towards this, because it's my morning thing. It's like my gasoline for my day. I will be full of energy for the next hours, if that happens. If I'm living my routine work, and I never worked outside of my art. It's always art. I never worked outside. Like in a shop, or I always do art since I decided to be an artist. So I don't know how that will broke out. And if I find a job outside, that will be tough,
When did you decide you were going to be an artist?
Well, since I was, I don't remember. It was I was so tiny. I didn't like school since the beginning. I didn't like being in a school, and my family, they put us in an orphanage, but it's not orphan. It's orphanage as a name. It's orphanage school, but it's a boarding school, because there is people who have their own family as well. Like my family are still alive, my father and my mom. I lived there for 12 years. So during this boarding school, I was struggling with learning, and my mom figured out that I have problems. So since I was like 9 years old, she kept, every time I go in the weekend to my family place or during the summer, I always have something to learn with my hands. So I learned how to do designs for the clothes. She took me to a place to teach the tailor place, workshop.
Yep.
And we didn't have money at that time. So she told her she can clean up the space and you can teach her. So she can be there. And this is what happened. I was like 9.5 years when I was there. And I learned a lot. Like I can do my clothes right now because of that memory. And she teach me how to sculpt the new fruits with the kind of clay that will dry very fast and color them. This is also another workshop. She put me in a workshop, embroidery workshop and hairdresser workshop. So she kept doing that until I was like 14 years old. And then I was doing fine in the school, but I'm always spacing out. Like if teacher talking to me, I'm not there. Hardly getting good grades in the school. So my brother came in once. His name is Emil, my best brother. And he said, what kind of art you want? Like, tell me. I'm ready to give you a lesson or a workshop during the summer. And I was like between music and art, but and painting. The music, I was in love with music, but the teacher music in the boarding school he wasn't interested in me, and he has to do something with the kids. He has to choose one of the best and focus on that kid to present him in the party or like something to get money for the boarding. So he didn't care for other kids. So I was really pissed off by his actions because I was really want to play piano. So I said no for the music at that time, and I said okay for the painting. And since then, I didn't stop. I didn't know that I'm talented as well. I know that I have to do it as a child. I didn't know that there is a future for it until I figured out that there is a university. And then I get to the university, and somehow my teachers are the ones who make me believe that there is something, because they followed me after 1.5 years to check on me, which is great. I mean, I'm blessed by having these people in my life, because they empowered me. They make my family see something in me. I didn't even have the power to talk with my family and say, hey, I'm talented. Now the professor is coming to my home, say, hey, you have talented. I'm talking about that to tell you, and I don't want to show off. I'm talking about that to tell you that that's how I begin my art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your studio like? Is it attached to your house? Is it a separate place, or?
Well, I moved a lot. So when I was in Lebanon, my studio was my room, my bedroom, and it was tiny. So I create a bed that is up in the ceiling. I build it up, so everything down is my studio, and I just have a small, tiny mattress. And then I moved to Beirut, and then when I moved to Beirut, I took a studio in Ashkal Alwan. It is an art association of fine art called Ashkal Alwan. There, I begin to introduce to video art in that place. So they are kind of like, they are not traditional. They don't deal with only traditional art. They are more into video art, installation, performance, this kind of thing. So I was like there for 4 years. They gave me a studio. I lived in Beirut and I used that studio. And then I moved to another space also. It's called Mention. There, in that place, Mention, is a communal space where all the people who take rooms there are responsible for the place. So we are not only renting the place, we are making the place functional. And I stayed there. It was amazing experience. I learned a lot from them. And then I moved to United States and I began to search for this type of community. So I was in Bozeman. I find Beale Street Studios. They teach me how to be a sculptor. It's not school. They are artists who do cups and sculptures, and mainly cups and what they call it.
A vase?
No,
A vape?
I mean they are specialized in making pottery, not
Okay.
sculpture.
Ceramic
Only
and other things.
Yeah, only one. I just remembered one artist there who do sculpture, but he's a professor, and because I'm with them, I begin to see how they are dealing with the clay, and I decided to do sculpture. And since then, I learned from them. They begin to give me advices, asking them. They are generous. They were generous, and I learned a lot from them. And then I moved to Asheville. Also, I have a studio, and now my studio is in my home. So it took all these years for me to have a studio in my home again. Yeah, it's different, by the way. Totally different. When you have a studio in the house, it's not the same. Whatever, it's totally different. You are near the kitchen, you're near the fridge, you're doomed. When you are outside, you have this discipline. You're taking yourself to the studio. You have your own place. You're not distracted by whatever happened around you in the house. That's way, for me personally, way good than having something in the house or near the house.
Yeah, I imagine the time and place is, especially if you say this is my art studio and all I do in here is art stuff, that even when you go in there, your mind starts to click over to, okay, it's art time versus this is just a room in my house. Is that the main thing you look for in a studio then, is a place that's kind of set apart from regular life?
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of benefits. You're disciplined. You are disciplined when you are separating yourself from the house. Even if you are disciplined inside your house, you need to force the people who are living with you to follow your rules by like no destruction. Just don't disrupt me.
Disturb,
Disturb,
disrupt. Yep.
yeah, and that affects you. But when you are by yourself, you know you have the key. You can go and work. You are way tuned inside the work. Like you have this much time you have to do. There is more discipline. That's how I would say it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's the argument people use for not working from home, where you need to come into the office to do your work, because while it may not be a visual art, you got to get into that time and place of going to work versus hanging out at your house.
Yeah, you will be more creative as well, by the way. This is what I Because you because of the same reason. You're not distracted. You can't be distracted, and very important element of being an artist, seriously just do art, is like this kind of seriousness. You take it on yourself to finish the work. It's not something that you are just jumping hobby. Like you can't The moment you begin to do art this way, you will end up after 50 years doing like just 5 paintings in your lifetime, not even being serious. You call yourself an artist, but actually what we are looking at is like an opportunity of being an artist. And sadly, he didn't give humanity so much beautiful things from him before he died. I don't know if I said it well, but it's very important to be really very serious and towards your passion.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
commitment to it. I
yeah.
understand that. It's on days when you don't write, like if I'm working on poetry or something else, if I don't do it, then I don't feel like a writer. So I often ask myself at
Yeah.
the end of a day, what are you? Are you a writer? And that's usually if I don't feel like I do a lot of writing at night, but if for some reason I'm like, well, I'm too tired, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to sleep. Then it's like, well, I mean, a normal person's going to go to sleep, but are you normal or are you a writer?
Exactly. That's
What
the
are you going to
point.
be?
Yeah. I don't know when your identity blends with what you do. I don't know when. Like, what is that? Like, you became, if somebody asks you, who are you? You would say, I'm an artist. And then I don't know when that begins. Like, is there an age for it, or you born like an artist, or I don't know. I don't know an answer for that. It's just deep inside, as you said, that when you don't do it, you begin to ask this question. Okay, now I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am exactly, because of that process of putting a lot of yourself in that thing. When you stop doing it, as if that's you there, when you're right, now you are out. You put everything there. So it's really beautiful. I think, I don't know. I have
You
the
can
same
definitely,
thing.
you can fall in and out of that too. You could say, I knew I was an artist after I got that gallery showing and all my stuff sold in that amount of time. You could say, yes, I'm an artist. And you can look back at that time and go, I was an artist then. But if you hadn't done anything since then, I don't think you'd be an artist anymore. I mean, you were an artist and now you're something else. Or you're a person that used to be an artist.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Well,
just have to nurture it.
there is an argument about that same thing. There is people who say, for example, we are an artist, but we never produce any art. Like, we are an artist. The production of art is not not something that only artists do. Like, we can be an artist without producing an art. This was a debate for a while, for especially for thinkers and for people who write, and they have their own way of like debating about it. So it depends on personal, the way you feel it, the way you think about it when you are not doing that thing exactly. You, when you, or me, when I don't paint, I have this kind of detachment of myself. I feel like I have to do something. That's why my observation is replacement. It's not, it's like feeding. I know that I'm still doing something for myself when I go back to do my art. So I put something else. I put observation. I put to be as much as I can. You know, sometimes I don't. I blend with what is happening, and I'm not aware. You know, it's not like I'm always aware. But when I'm outside of my studio, all the time outside, it's always remembering to observe things. For me, it's the same thing as producing art, but the only thing um, there is no manifestation. It's just you are feeding your tools. You're feeding your tools. So that's that's the way I deal with the time when I'm not doing art. Without doing this kind of way in my life, I will be like feeling lost.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do something about it. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that argument of who are artists and who aren't, or if you don't do it, can you be like, I understand the idea that we're all artists. Certainly we're all capable of it. But as I say often with writing, writers write. That's the difference. So if you have those lines and thoughts that enter your mind and you don't write them down, you don't write them down. So
Yeah,
how can you say you're the writer? You could be, you're just not. And you're not going to hold all that stuff in your mind. I do have a short story I did about an artist, a visual artist, painter, which then became paralyzed and then couldn't paint anymore. So they're just locked in their body. And then it's kind of thinking about what that person's mind is like. Like you have that drive to create, but then you can't create. So it's trying to address that question of, do you have to produce art to be an artist? Or if you can't do it, what's going on in your head? Like, do you have these virtual studios in your mind that you would just sit there and work on it?
yeah,
And yeah, it's interesting, but
yeah,
I can see the arguments both ways of it. But I think there is something about art that requires some sort of production, whether
yeah.
it's your mind just chewing on it, or whether I think it's more because we're in this reality that there has to be something tangible to it, that art is creativity manifest. That's my
Mm,
current definition I'm going with of art.
mm,
It's it's that manifestation of creativity.
yeah. Also, I want to add something here. I just remembered that when 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 I'm producing the work, I'm more alive with the work when it's done.
Mm.
So the finished work, or not the finished, the work that I decided to stop working on, the moment I said done, first I can't look at it anymore. I have to hide it or something. I can't look at it. It's
Huh.
a very important thing for me. I have to, as if it's dead, or it's not in the. I can't look at it. I can't think about it. It's done. So I hide it. I cover it. It's not in my sight inside, or in my sight from my eyes. And I think that my relationship with art is while I'm doing art. So that's my story. I'm an artist while I'm producing art. Uh,
Mm.
that that's my life there. That's me living the everything that thing is. giving me or passing through me. I don't know. That's the life I wish it could continue, you know. But sadly, a lot of needs comes in and makes you get out. That's my time there. When the work done, I may, as I said before, I became an observer later. 1 year from now, I will look at it from as you are looking to my work. And sometimes I forget, like I did it. I will be like, oh, this was my work. So I have this. It's really interesting that that's why you stop one work and you shift to something else. You have to stop looking at it to shift to something else, to kill it or to bury it, you know.
I think that's an excellent argument for the idea that art comes from outside of us, that creativity is, and I talk about it a lot, the Roman sense of creativity, where you would make something and then somebody would say that's genius. And they're not talking about you. They're talking about that entity outside of you, that genius, that muse, that spirit, whatever else is out there that's working through you to create that. And the feeling inside of you that says, I can't keep doing this because I'm going to ruin it, is that essence outside of you that's saying, stop what you're doing because you're going to ruin it. And
Yes.
I don't think that takes away our agency or our place in the production of anything. But I think it means we're more of the paintbrush than we think. That there's something out there working through us. And I can tell just in my writing or anytime you do something too, whether it's you're working on the house or whatever you're doing, that you can tell when it's you pushing it or it's something else that's pushing you. And I think that's when you get into that flow of art, whether it's painting or writing or whatever, and you're like, wow, this is great. Like you're not even thinking and you're doing it, or you're writing and it's just seems like it's writing itself. That's I mean, I like that. If I could find a way to get into that every time and just start into it, I would. But I think that is an excellent argument for the creative entity outside of us working through us. You do illustrations. How did you get started on those?
Well, it's my curiosity. I was in university finishing my master's degree, and they asked me. I already, as I told you, I finished the first 4 years diploma, and it's an old system where you have to carry all your what I call it. This is my Alexa. So there's you study all the things. I don't know how to name them. Materials. You study all the materials for 4 years, and then in the master's degree you have 3 years. So I already studied printmaking, painting, a little bit sculpture. What else? Illustration, landscape, still life. Yani, most of it. But with master degree, you have to choose something that to stick to it, like to empower it. I choose printmaking, and I didn't know about illustration, so I chose illustration just out of curiosity, and I tried it, but I don't know if I succeed in it that time, because it for me illustration is it has to be related to books, to the word. You know, you can add it to a word, you know. So what I did illustration without words. There's no written story. The story is in my head. So I create images, and that was really my experiment, and I didn't do it again. So that was one project, and I recently my cousin contacted me. She is a teacher for small kids, like garderies, and I don't know what they name them, like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
Elementary school.
Elementary school. She's a teacher for them. And she writes stories, and she contacted me. I said, yeah, why not? I will try my best. Now I have a project with her to do a story, a kid's story. And I always keep a room for experiment. I don't know what things comes. I may do it right. I may do. It depends on how I put energy there, or how the energy, I don't know, works well with me. Yeah.
Yeah, it would seem like illustration is more of a defined thing of what you're going to do. So you're working within that outline, or there's directions to what you need to do. But the idea of a picture book for kids, like looking at your website, I think it was in illustration. It has, I don't know if it's a horse or a donkey wearing green pants, kind of reclined, sitting in a chair or something. That if you had a picture book of different things like that made for kids, I think that's pretty great. I mean, I know I would appreciate it when I was a kid if I had a book I could look at that didn't have words, so I could relax from the reading for a while. And then I think that's going to spark imagination too, because now you get to make up your own story with this, or at the very least, you're learning different colors and different animals. And, you can have somebody sitting with a kid going through a book like that saying, well, what color is that donkey's pants? Well, those are green. And you could even get more, what is that, a notched lapel, or, is that a European vent suit? Or, you could learn a lot of things that you might not learn otherwise. Like, I think about that watching like the Bugs Bunny, the older ones, where they talk about stuff that as an adult, you get something different out of it than you do when you were a kid.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I just wonder how much you're learning words that you wouldn't normally learn anywhere else unless you were watching Transformers cartoon when you were a kid, or, they're teaching you the lessons, but they're also teaching you words that you would not use if you were an elementary school kid. So yeah, I like the idea of the picture book. I like those, the illustration ones you have on your website. So then printmaking was your master's.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do a lot of printmaking still?
Well, I do it because I don't have the printer. I do it in a traditional way. So I use the spoon to pressure the paper into the linoleum or wood panel. So, but I still do it, but not like intensively as I used before, because I do always painting by oil painting and sculpture. So it's very important for me to jump from one material to another. It's just like taking a break from the material itself, and it teaches you. It teaches you. It gives you its knowledge. Like when the sensibility you get from using the elements. It's. I heard your guest recently. She was talking about learning how to listen to the nota, and the teacher was telling her to press the nota and listen to the nota. How the music. When she was talking about this story, I understand her as if she is talking about any material we are dealing with. Like we are dealing with the clay, let's say. The moment you catch this piece of wet clay, you have to like allow yourself to feel it, to allow the clay to sink inside your senses and begin to understand the material. Can apply to the painting, to the image picture, to the photo, to light and dark. Anything you can work with, it can be applied to. Like what she was talking about is very essential for us as an artist. Even as you were mentioning as well, like the sound of the words has music and the 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 word itself, the meaning of the word and the sound of it. That sensibility to catch the differences, it's the artist's work. Without that sensibility, we can't present something really that talks with other people. That language, that sensibility. I want to touch this matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Talk
like
about.
the observation you were talking about before. You have to observe. I think that was Lauren Spangler. Yeah, that was
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
I do see the connection between music and visual art. I like that crossover. It's interesting to me how some people choose, or not some people, but just how people find their favorites of it. Of if you're a painter and what do you like painting in versus sculpting versus anything else, that it's nice to be able to do each of those things, and maybe your favorites change over time. But I would imagine it if I do other things, then when I get back to writing or whatever my favorite thing is, whether it's poetry or prose, is that it makes me appreciate it too. It's kind of like collaborative work where you're working with somebody else. So you're following, in essence, maybe not following someone else's rules, but trying to give equal parts to what they feel and you feel.
Mm.
I don't know if you do much collaborating in painting, but just in writing, like writing a book with someone else is much different than writing a book by yourself. But it's definitely worth doing. And I like doing it, but it does also make me like doing, like writing by myself as well.
Mm.
Like you think about it and you go, oh, when I get a chance, this is what I'm going to do.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I think that's why it's useful outside of its own, whatever you're creating with this other person. Do you
Mm.
have experience with collaborative visual art?
Well, I tried when I was in university and I failed
Hmm.
very badly. I couldn't do it. It was, um, I realized it that it's not the way I function. It was, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't, it's not about the other person or that person is not in tune with me. It's not about that. It's about how my mind work when I do art. I have to be in control with everything. I have to even lie to myself that I am in control with everything
Hmm.
so I can be tuned in and nobody will disturb me. And if I did something and I like it and some other person just did something about it, it's like as if he's like stripping my clothes off.
Yeah.
It has this effect on me. It's the only time for me personally to experience art by myself. Like this is a very intimate place for me. That's my relationship with it, and that was my experience. And then later, there were a kind of talk about like I will do half of the painting, and then you continue the rest. So you don't touch my parts. You just
Hmm.
like try to do something in between. That kind of work with me, but still I can't say that that's what I did,
Hmm.
because what I applied in that piece, it's just my knowledge or um, my all the things I learned. I just put things, how can I say it, I didn't put all myself in that kind of work. I just applied what I know.
Hmm. The
Technical
fundamentals.
things, yes,
Yeah.
like I know how to do it, so I do the things that I usually do, but it's not like I totally in. So I can't say I did a collaboration work.
Yeah. You're not 100% invested in it, but
No.
I would expect that to be the case for visual art versus writing or music, because music, if somebody says, no, I'm going to put this chord in, you can go, okay. And then you can just do the other thing on your own and it's
Mm,
okay.
mm,
And writing, you could write your own story if you didn't like the way that one was going. But with painting, I can, yeah, I'd have that same visceral reaction, or with like anything that you're making. If somebody else messes it up, it's messed up.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to get it back to there? Like, you could take words out, you could change the music, but yeah, the wrong brushstroke is going to
Yeah. I
ruin
want to
that
add.
thing you've had.
Yeah, exactly. I want to add something. 2021, I went to Netherlands to do a solo show for my work, and my friend invited me. She's a musician. Her name is Louise Botin. She took me to France, Lyon, and she wanted to do a collaboration work with her. She is a musician. I'm a painter, so that could work if I'm doing work like, let's say, what they call it, like improvising painting. At the time she's playing, and so I did that, and there were a lot of people around, and I allowed, in the end, I cleaned the brushes, and after I finished the painting and she finished the music, so it's done. I put I cleaned my brushes from the color that I was using, and I put all the colors, and I invited the people to come and mess up the painting.
Oh,
Yeah, and it comes out a beautiful piece. Amazing. I was surprised what they did. They just mess up with it. And the piece, the owner of this space, he took that piece. It's a huge painting. When I looked to the pictures, I was, oh my God, it's beautiful. But this kind of collaboration, I can't call it collaboration. I decided to get rid of my work. Like, I decided I don't want my work anymore. You come in and do whatever you want. So I don't call it collaboration in a way like I talking to you and build something together.
it's more like layeration.
Yeah.
Layers on there.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad it turned out well.
Yeah, it is. It's really beautiful. I don't know how that kind of space, when you allow other people to come in and do something, watching them doing on the work itself, it's a performance. It's beautiful to watch. Like, for me, I was in awe looking there. They are like 5, 6 and a huge painting, 5, 6 members, people. They're just everyone in a corner, and they coloring, passing through each other, and they and I was looking how this is changing. It was a beautiful performance for me.
Was that while the music was going on too?
No, it was after. I did the work, all the work, while they were listening to the music and watching me while I'm producing the work. And then when the music done, they became the artists. And I became the viewer. Me and Luis, we sit there and we begin to watch them doing that. It was beautiful.
That's a fine line between art and vandalism. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. So then, what's your, right now, because it probably changes, what's your favorite medium to operate in right now?
Oh, well, I always stick with oil. It's something that always grew with me, grow with me. It's like every time I work with oil, surprise me. Like something I didn't expect. Oil is very alive. Takes time to dry, and it's always breathing in. Like there is it's a live material. It's made of oil, and it's not like acrylic. Acrylic has this plastic sensation to it, and the way you work with acrylic is like dry fast, and you can work layers above it, but you can't mess up with the layers already that you are working it. So it's not alive. It's not doesn't give you this flexibility in working, in messing up or something. I love oil, so I don't think I don't see myself outside of this material. This is my basic thing. I'm going back to sculpture. It's been like 1 year, almost 1 year. I didn't do any sculpture. I'm going back, And I don't know. For me, sketches. It's not only sketches. It's my papers. When I do papers, they are work of art, but on paper. So I have envelopes full of. This is something that is like by itself is a never ends. This is never ends process. I always have to deal with color pencils beside me on my table, and always ink or so that are my materials. Recently, my friend asked me to do a video clip of his song. So I did a video clip of his song. I didn't put it in my website. I have to add the sculpture section as well. This was the first time I do video clip in my life. It was 5 minutes of video clip. So that was new for me. And I'm willing to experience it again to see what can I do with it.
What's
So
going on doing the video clip?
So it's a
Is it
song about the Beirut explosion, the 4th of August crime that happened. And he wrote a song about it. And I did an animation. I used footages and I like layered them out and colored them. And I used animation with using also old footages of train that the only picture of a train. We used to have a train in Lebanon years ago, and there is none anymore. So I have only like few seconds of that footage. I used it, and few footages of me taking videos of the demonstrations in Beirut, and the rest of it is just moving picture and all made by my hand. That's the work. That was an experiment. I like to know new things. Like always having. I'm flexible with knowing the new things. This is an open door because it affects my work as well. It affects always new materials affects your work itself. It gives you more knowledge of things. I don't know how to explain it. Your brain begins to function in a new way. Like you are. It's like a kid who is getting a new toy and he wants to experiment it. So his understanding is expanding. That's the same with the humans. We're not like different from what we were. We're just like an expanded version of that. And playing is the number one factor. The moment you even have to play seriously. I will ask you a question. If your kid is playing around and he came to you and said, Dad, I will let you play with me, but under one condition. You have to do that. He's still playing, but there is conditions there. Under his rules, there is playing. If you cross these rules, he may be sad for a second and then say, okay, I allowed it a few. But playing doesn't mean there is no rules. Also in art, if you play, there is rules for this play, but you are in the spirit of playing and exploring. So the playing is very good factor in creation. Very good factor. Even if you are seriously doing it.
I'm glad that you've said a lot of the words that I've used when at the beginning when I was like, this is how I would describe your work. You've gone through all of those words that I said, like dreamy, playful, primal. I don't. You haven't said macabre yet, but I don't know if you thought that was insulting. I didn't mean it that
No,
way at all.
I didn't understand what the word means.
Oh, like dark and invoking dread or horror, I think is part of that. But I don't think that
that's
that's how all
amazing.
stuff is. But some of the stuff I look
No.
at, I'm like, oh, that's scary.
No. You're right to the point. I love this part of my art. I feel like when it's this element is there, I feel more relaxed when I put it out. It's not only for the viewer; it's for me, my own sake, entertainment. I want this roughness or savage feeling to get out. It's the urgent need to get it out because it's part of me. It's the I was witnessing a lot, and this is how I express it. If somehow I change that in my art or something in the future where that element or that kind of intensity is not there, that means I grow up into something else. It's like as you said, I'm sponging, taking the things in. That's what I took all these years, and they are like manifesting in this way. The 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 things that are violence or like shocking, or that's really for me it's very essential, very essential for me. It's part of the joke, by the way. Also, when you joke about something serious and you laugh at it, but you know that it's painful, but because you're joking about it you feel it less painful. So it has this you are I'm a colorful person. I do a lot of colors, bright. You look at my work and say, oh, that's nice, and then suddenly you look more and you will see, oh, that's shit. No, this is something you will not taking it lightly, while the
Yeah, the
colors is
layers.
showing you something else. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it's more than the one-dimensional type of art. It's not, it says so much more than what you initially see with it. Like the piece behind you is more colorful, on the more colorful side of the things on your website. Like on your
Mm,
website, it has a darker tone, some of it.
mm,
And then like the more primal are the like cave drawings. I like that. That's very interesting. And I think it's going to depend on obviously the person looking at it as to what they get from it. Like the piece
mm,
behind you, the kind of the smiley face above it to me looks like an owl. So it reminds me of this. I think the movie was called The Fourth Kind, and it is talking
okay.
about Fourth Kind. Yep. Talks about alien abduction,
Mm.
and it's scary. That's a scary movie to me.
Wow.
But you could, like, you look at it the first time, and if you're alone and it's dark and you're watching it and hopefully it's raining outside, and then it makes you feel one thing, and you can look at it again in the daylight and you go, well, it's kind of dumb to be scared of that. But when I fall asleep, I am thinking, is that an owl outside of my window
Mm,
looking at me? And what is it actually an owl, or is it an alien that's trying to abduct me? Now, that's just my personal interaction with that.
yeah.
But I do like how you have that initial look of it, and then you can go deeper into it. And yeah, I think that's what makes art speak to people. And then I think the other word that I had for in describing your art was sexual, but I don't mean it in a perverse way. I think it's more of the sexual along the line of intertwined with emotion and the primal part of things. So
Yeah. I don't separate that from us. I don't like make a separation. I don't think about, oh, I want to do sexual scene here or something fleshy. I don't.
flesh.
It's something that for me means a human being. Simple.
Yeah.
Like it's not human being. Humans as they are, without any. Like most of the time, the old ones, the old work, I didn't know why I wasn't like I was in between, not depicting a man and not depicting a woman. So they are
Mhm.
not either a man or neither a woman. They are in between, but I didn't mean it in a way. I didn't. There's no intentions there. There's no like I want to do that. It just comes out as it is. Like that's how things pass. And my understanding of sexuality is not by itself sexuality in my work. I feel it like it's a human body has a function there. Whatever he's doing there in the work, he's doing. Let's say this person see it this way, the other person see it that way. That's how if I want to analyze myself, I hope I will not do that to myself. It's the worst thing to do to myself is analyzing myself. But yeah.
For me, it's more of vulnerability. I think that that's how it's speaking to me, and that awakening of emotions is how I saw it. What's taking up most of your time these days then?
I have to refresh my website. This is number one. The second, I begin to do big paintings. Like this one is almost done. It's a huge one. I love doing big paintings, and big paintings need time. So I have 3 in the wall now. 3 of them are open. This one is almost done. I need to just mess it up and make the blood comes out of it, just because it's so brighty and so happy. So we will change it to something else. And
to me, it looks happy at first, and then there's the more sinister side because
yeah,
you need to watch that movie, and then you'll feel it.
yeah, I will. The fourth kind, huh?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. And luckily, few months ago, I met, like 1 year ago, let's say 1 year ago, I met a wonderful artist called Amber Lee. Her name is Amber Lee. And we were, I was in San Augustine Art Association for a show. And I get my sculpture get the prize. So and she introduced me to herself. She came in with thousands of people. She just came in and she said, "Hey, how are you? My name is blah, blah, blah." And that's it. And then after like months, she had a call and she said, well, we are opening a space called Bespoke House, and I would like you to join us. Yeah, and this is the place that reminds me of the place in Beirut called Mention, that called community. It's the same space that I found in Bozeman, the Beale Street Studios, where artists are together there. They teach each other. They are responsible for their place. Bespoke have this vibe, and since I became a member there, my my active life changed. It's more dramatic, not dramatic. What's the word? Like more active, more vibrant. I have a connection. I have shows. So that place, Bespoke House in Jacksonville, is something, and it's growing big. That's what also added to what I do usually, is connecting with them, going up there, following events. That's the only place where I'm connected with the outside for artist scene, by the way. Like here in Palm Coast, there is nothing, as I know, till now.
You got to start something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like adding more blood to your veins, which is like more energy. You need that as an artist. You can't be isolated for a long time. You need that.
Yeah, I like going to writing groups. I like it more for meeting and talking to other writers than I do for listening to, like, going to a place and listening to people read their stuff. I'd rather just talk to the writer. I'll still read their stuff eventually, but I think art is easier, especially with Bespoke House, because you can see it. It's visual, so you got it. It's not like you got to sit down with a book. You got it, and you could sit down as long as it takes you to read a book and look at a piece of some art and have all kinds of stories for it. But yeah, I like connecting with the creative people, and maybe part of your growing up and not doing so well or not liking school so much was it was that part in you, that creative part that was trying not to get destroyed. Because I think a lot of life destroys the creativity of people, or if it doesn't destroy it, it stamps it down so much that it doesn't show. Like maybe we are all artists, but it's been squeezed out of you so much that you're not putting yourself in a place to soak any other creativity back up. I don't know where I was going with that motif, but yeah, I'm glad that you protected your creativity.
Thank you. There is something I want to add. I heard recently it's a video, I catch it somewhere, but I really agree with this guy. He said something that I really resonate with it. He said that, I forget, I don't catch names most of the time. I don't remember his name, but anyway, he said that there is nobody special. Like there's no like, I have this talent and this talent's like I just born with it. Everybody has something. You just have like to find it and work on it. It's just the work itself will make you special. It's not like you have a feather in your head, like something special about you when you're born. It's just you can make yourself being special by love what you're doing and keep doing it and empowering yourself through it. Then you will be creative, or you could be genius. And I personally, recently, I begin to relate to myself as an artist. Recently, I have friends around. If they ask me, "Who are you?" I will not say I'm an artist. I'll say I'm a painter. That's how I define myself. It was like I'm not satisfied. I never felt satisfied, and I couldn't separate my satisfaction of doing art from defining myself. It's that I can't say I'm an artist. I'm not artist because the way I see artist is so up high, and I'm way not that high, So that's something really powerful to know. Like I am better if I worked on myself. I could introduce myself to a new thing and be good with it and really be kind of professional with it. Just if I put love and attention to it.
I like it. I think we're also the paintbrush, where if you're new to something and you haven't done it, then you can't do it as well as you could as when you've been eaten away by practicing. So I think what's the best way for people to follow your work?
Well, they have to follow me. Just everywhere they see me, they have to follow me. Oh my gosh, I have a website, and do you want me to tell you about my website?
Sure. Yeah, let's hear it.
So it's www.balsam BALSAM Abo Zour ABOZOUR.com. That's my website, and there is an event. I want to read it, as I told you. It's very, very interesting art show and a performance. It's called Wax. These women are doing great job. Her name, one of the head founder of Wax, her name is Emily Cargill. She's in Jacksonville. She teach choreography, and she teach kids how to dance. And she used her space also for art show this year. And what they are written here, they're written that there is a choreographers in the show, there's visual artists, spoken word artists, installation artists, and there are performer, I think, with the art. And I can say the website here too if they want to buy a ticket.
Okay.
It's like www.waxingax.com. So it's www.waxinjax, And the event will happen April 13, 2024, between 6:30 and 10 p.m. That will be great if they come to this event. I didn't see the space yet, but I talked with Emily, and she's an amazing woman, really. I'm looking forward to see the women there working and doing art together. It's amazing in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's a good idea to use a space like that for both those things.
Yeah, that's. I'm really feeling grateful that they pick me out of like 6 artists. They pick me to present one of my work there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any topics that you wanted to talk about that we didn't? Any thoughts in closing?
No, but it was amazing talking to you. I'm really grateful that we have met in the Bespoke House. That was the first night we met, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. This is the first podcast. Yay! I will spread the word. Yeah,
it's good. I appreciate your time
Thank
being
you.
on. And your website will be in the show notes. So if people didn't get it or couldn't write it down, it's there and they can go directly to it. It's a nice website. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what you do, what you add to it.
Yeah, that will be great too. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I'll talk to you after the closeout here.